Hi, hello, welcome to our 13th episode of Hunting for Suspenders and Stilettos.
The podcast where we explore the edges of leadership.
In other words, we explore what's beyond the edge and between edges.
My name is Anne and I'm French based in Amsterdam.
And I am Huda. I'm from Morocco and I am based in Dubai.
I'm John in Cambridge in the UK.
And we have Sarah, who is not with us this afternoon, but she's in transition, I guess. And we will welcome her very soon back with us on this podcast.
And today we are going to talk about transitions.
So, in this first episode about transitions, we will tackle the life and career transitions. So I would like to open this episode by this words from André Gide. You cannot discover new oceans unless you have the courage to lose sight of the shore. So what does that mean? What does a transition mean for us, for you, Anne, for you, John, for myself? Can we share experiences?
Yeah.
Immediately, I didn't think about this before the call, but immediately, and you saying that, I was thinking back to like, what's the earliest memory I've got of like a change? And probably the biggest one was going to school for the first time and turning up at school and like leaving the safety of home and just being thrown into a whole new world. And you know, it's quite, I guess for most people, it's a very memorable moment when I don't really remember much else about my life at the time. So there was something about like the unknown that was important there that had it make such a an impact on me.
Wow.
Yeah, so for me, I guess it was a bit later, I suppose. And also, I would say that I've never really, apart from, I think I made the decision to become a mother. So that was like a transition, but I never made like I think transitions for me, it's always things that have overlapped, and then just I decided to strengthen one part and then let go of the other part, sort of. So to me, it's something that that I feel that I'm continuously in transition and transforming. And we have this. I love this quote of like the chemist. Now, Uda, you remember the name of the guy, but like nothing is lost, everything is transformed, and like it's like it feels like we are always transforming, like a little flowers,
Like
dandelions. Sorry?
Like from the caterpillar, the metaphor of the caterpillar and the butterfly.
Exactly. Well, actually, I would go more for the dandelion. The dandelion. Like they have those little fluffy things that goes. So it's sort of, and then it goes in the air, and then it goes back to something new. So it's like perpetual transitions.
I love what you're saying, Anne. And there are some transitions that are a bit more dramatic. Yeah. And yes, I decided, for instance, same kind of transition, different experiences. But becoming a mother, for me, it was a natural process. Like it was obvious I wanted to have children. And yet, I remember being completely paralyzed in front of this little thing, my little Sammy, right? And that was a transition. I didn't know what to do. I was scared to kill that little thing, or another one. My parents divorced at some point in my life. That was quite dramatic. It was a dramatic transition. So we have these things, I would say this range of something natural, that happen in a smooth way, almost naturally, and the ones that are forced on us or are more dramatic, more difficult. So I would like to invite you, John and Anne, to maybe connect with some of the emotions that accompanied such transitions.
Well, it's an interesting distinction that I'm just thinking about, like those that are forced upon us or just happen outside of our control, and those that we choose, and those that are forced upon us or that just happen, then they're there often very quickly, and with little warning, and we probably, the risk there is that we go to our default response when things change, when there's the unknown, when something happens, maybe something's lost, and we go to whether we go to our anger or our grief, or we will have our default responses to those that we need to be mindful of. And then when it's an intentional transition, we can sometimes, like, then the emotions hold us back because of our fear of that change, our fear of loss, our fear of thinking about, say, a career change. We might fear the loss of the money or the security or something like that. So we have more time, but we also may not make the transition because our emotions may hold us back. It's now in our control, but then we might not actually do it because we are, the emotions around it are too powerful, even if it's something we want. And then when we go into that choice for transition, that we can anticipate what that will feel like, and maybe we're right, maybe we're wrong. So again, it's about how we prepare for that, and then how we respond once we're there. So anyway, it's just what it brought to me when you made that distinction.
And if I can relate to my kind of transition, so I think I had many transitions that were forced on me or not, and so, for example, I was working for Starbucks and they decided to close the office, so that was forced on me, and then I chose to see the opportunity that arose from it. So I think there is something about what's the positive piece about the thing that happens to you, what wasn't possible that will be now possible. So it's about seeing the possibilities and cultivating this art of seeing the possibilities.
I love that, because we can definitely choose where to put our attention. When I was in a role and they closed the entire UK office, that was a big transition in my career. It was when I went and talked to one of our customers about starting something new, and that became like, then there was this rebirth out from some of the IP that we bought. We created a new company, and that was the company Selexica that I was involved in for 10 years. So yeah, where do you put your attention? Does that become a panic moment of, oh shit, I've got to get a new job? And I was doing that as well. I was looking for jobs as well. Or is that the moment we talked about creativity before? Is that like the moment of creation when something can be born?
Yeah.
I love what you're saying, both of you. So it's when we have that something stops something. So it feels to me that we have to let go of something. So that is the transition for something else to emerge. And it's a choice that we are making to embrace that change, to create that space for that new thing to emerge, right? And it's not the only thing, right? There is something a bit about accepting the risk and being uncomfortable with what we don't know, with uncertainty, and just waving, like surfing that wave and saying, okay. I love what you said, John. It's the intention, right?
There's this expression, the liminal space. It's like that point between two worlds, which I think recognizing that we're there can be quite useful. You might think of the metaphor just came to me of like you've got the beach in the ocean, and then there's the space in between when you're dipping your toes in. You're neither really in the ocean or on the beach. You're kind of in both worlds, but you're not yet swimming in the ocean, nor you've left, but you have left building sandcastles behind.
Yeah, but for me, it's having the trust as well in ourselves that throughout the transition we will be okay, we will thrive, or that we will learn something from the transition, because not every transition is good in as per se. Like, like if you have a car accident and you lose something, for example, then you lose a part of you. That's not great. That's really horrible. And what is how does it help you with your resilience? How do you become, what happens when you go through this transition and thrive from that transition?
It's great. So all, not what I'm hearing here is not all transitions are the same, and yet they're all linked to what we have in us, right? That resilience, that the leader within.
It's all about how you respond.
Okay.
I think, I'm agreeing 100%. Like change is inevitable. Change is going to happen. Transitions we'll choose transitions. We will have them happen to us. And in all cases, it's what do we do with that? What do we create from that? What do we learn from it? I'd love to hear some examples, actually, because this is quite theoretical, but I'd love to hear like some examples from you two, and I'll chip in like of what specifically, like maybe a good in quotes transition and a bad in quotes transition, and like what did you learn? What was real? Let's make it tangible.
I love what you said, and I would just like to maybe link it to something more pragmatic, John, is what does it take to go through that transition and continue? What is it in us that allows us to, to go through it and not drown in it? That's to take the metaphor of the wave, right?
Yeah. So make it real. And then what did it take?
And so, John, and so the first thing that came to me when you asked this question was when I failed my medical studies. And for me, it took years to get over it. I actually even chose not to do anything paramedical. Like not to face my failure. So I guess I've learned many things in the sense of how to work hard and to be resilient and, to focus. And that was hard and tough. And I couldn't speak about it without like having without crying for years, So that was hard. And when I know now, like, how I work or the capacity I have to work, it comes from that period that yes, I did fail. And that's what I've learned. That's what I gained from it.
I'm sorry if I may, and you don't have to answer if you don't feel comfortable, but I think you raised something very, very deep, is what made it so difficult to move on?
I think what made it very difficult to move on is that's the only thing I really wanted to do. And that I think there was many things of also facing my failure in front of others, in front of my family, although I think they were feeling for me instead of judging me, but it's what, and myself, like not being able to be successful. That was really terrible. And now when I see how my relation with coaching and how I've developed myself, I'm seeing how failing has a different taste now. and that I am able to let go and learn from it much more quickly. But at the time I had no tools at all, I didn't know about the limiting beliefs, and I did 3 times the first year, and during those 3 years the only thing I was telling myself is that I was not going to make it. That was like a limiting belief, and now I know about it, and that had I known at the time, maybe I would have been successful. And at the same time, it really doesn't matter, because when I see my friends that are now doctors, I think they work a lot more than me. And I don't know. I think now I have I made it in a different way, because the I wanted to support people. That's what I'm doing.
It's wonderful to hear that. So what I'm hearing from what you're saying is you acquired the tools to change the taste of that failure, basically, and from sour or bitter to become more like maybe a slight discomfort, and then moving on to something, capturing the gift really of what happened, right?
Yeah, and I think I think what is past, but now when I have failures, or like I encounter new failures, I think I react very differently to it. I let go more easily, and I'm more self-compassionate about it.
It's funny you should say that, because I was going to bring that exactly. I can see how transitions actually, it draws on a lot of the things we've talked about before, including self-compassion. So when things happen, bringing self-compassion can be useful. Also, as we consider a transition, and I think it can be really helpful to acknowledge that it might be difficult what we're planning, like a career change or a new job or parenting, like in making that choice and recognizing that difficult emotions might come up. Then it's so useful to be kind to ourselves.
And that's okay to have those difficult
exactly.
emotions, right? They are only emotions, they pass. But they also allow us to measure what is inside us, to acknowledge the moments of fear or excitement, and I think that is also very useful in driving our those transitions, right? From self-compassion to resilience to other things. Is there anything any of you would like to add? Being
And for me, maybe there's something, and maybe it's in the way how we are concluding this. Is what's the link with leadership? Like how do we see that as the link that we have with leadership? And I don't know if you want to answer that, or I do have.
You go ahead, Anne. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and to me, it's because we are all leaders. Leaders of our life, leaders of our career, leaders of our teams, leaders of everything, and the transitions are actually a way to learn more, in a way, and to be more attentionate. So in those transitions, I think we need to be more self-compassionate. We need to build our resilience. We need to build a positive spirit. So it is actually cultivating tools for leading our teams or our lives, and yeah. So that's how I see it. There's more, I think, but I think you can add as well.
I'm hearing introspection and really reflecting on awareness, introspection, to be cognizant of where we are and where we want to go. And this is where the leader within starts to work, right? To be in action. Sean?
Yeah, I think if we think of transition as sort of as embracing change, then leaders can. I think a lot of leadership is about embracing change and creating change. So not just about embracing the change that inevitably happens, but actually creating change. And perhaps one way of thinking of it is perhaps leaders embrace transitions and create more transitions. Like, that's just an interesting idea, perhaps. Like, what does it take to actively create more transitions in a leadership role, or more generally as a leader, as a way of being, to lean into transitions as an active part of life in order to create something of value or create something better. And if we think about our coaching with our clients and ourselves when we're being coached, a lot of that is about supporting people to lean into the transitions that they really want to lean into. And so, yeah, embrace and create more transitions. That's what I'll leave you with.
I love what you're saying. And there is one thing that comes to mind listening to both of you is there is the how as well, right? Yes, creating change, leaning into transitions. And it's the how we do it, right? Because whatever happens, if there is a transition, we're gonna go through it. Be it career or be it life, it's there knocking at our doors. It's not like when we say, oh, bye-bye, I'm leaving. No, it's there. So it's more like about, okay, how am I gonna do it, right? That with a big smile, with a little bit of movement, as Anne would say, or that witty British sense of humor of John. I mean, we all have different ways of approaching it. But what I'm hearing is that life energy, life force, life drive that creates that positive movement in any transition. Okay. So shall we all say one or two words to conclude and say goodbye to our audience for today?
Yeah, just add, you always get to choose where you put your attention. It's the ultimate thing we have control over. So when you're considering or in a transition, choose where to put your attention wisely on I'll leave it there.
Yeah, and I made something we didn't talk about for me would be like, and if you're struggling or you want to strive more out of the transition, also ask for support. Like, it can be professional, but it can be also your close people or your colleagues.
So intention, ask for help, and I would add self-compassion. Be kind to yourself. Being mean to yourself is not gonna make the transition go away. It has to happen. Thank you, everybody. We shall see you
in a couple of weeks for part 2. Bye.
Part 2. Bye.